We ready. Up. I see some fire emojis coming through. Okay. Shay Shanette, how you doing? How you doing? Well, since the fire emojis coming through, I guess it's time to go. All right. See, I put together a nice little presentation for everybody. Y'all can see that good? That's coming through clear for everybody? Yeah, buddy. It's going down. All right. Let me know if I need to turn that brightness up. There you go. Hey, Lucy. Took you long enough. All right. So you probably already familiar with this. If you're not, this is a basic color wheel. And the color wheel, mastering the color wheel, is pretty much going to be your lifeline as an artist. Mastering this color wheel will make any project you do easy. So on a color wheel, the most valuable information is the colors and where they sit on the color wheel. So if you notice, red, blue, and yellow are separated from the wheel a little bit. That's because those are your primaries. For those of you that don't know, red, blue, and yellow are the colors that are known to not be able to be made from another color. Now, in between every one of those colors sits a secondary color and sits a tertiary color. Now, your secondary colors, as you can see, they have bigger text. The secondary colors are a mix between two primaries. The primaries they sit between are the colors you mix. So orange is the mix between red and yellow. Green is the mix between blue and yellow. Purple or violet, as you'll more see it when you buy paints and pencils and things, you'll see violet. But on here we have purple. So purple would be the mix between blue and red. Now the tertiaries are the mix between the secondary color and a primary color. So that would be red purple, which is a mix between red and purple. That's usually red violet when you buy material. And blue purple, which is blue violet when you buy material. That's going to be the mix between blue and purple. And you can see that so on and so forth, which with blue green, yellow green, orange yellow, which is usually yellow orange, and orange red, which is usually red orange. For whatever reason, this color wheel has some of the colors listed with the secondary color first. That is not common. You will see the primary color listed before the secondary color. Let me enhance this a little bit. Too big. All right, check it out. This is a more of a different look at a color wheel, and for some people, this is a more of a modern color wheel. The first color wheel was an older style color wheel, still in use, still very valuable, but this is a more of a modern color wheel, and is a good color wheel for painting in a way that the eyes perceive color, which is why some people use this color wheel more. This is also a good color wheel for people who do digital art. So if your art is more computer based or on a computer screen, this is a very good color wheel to focus your designs off. The reason is because this color wheel lets you mix all types of colors based on the three primaries. The three primaries in this are very different, as you can see in the middle. You have yellow, you have cyan, which is the blue color, cyan, and then you have magenta, which is also known as chemical pink. It's called chemical pink because it's a man-made pink. This pink does not naturally exist. But the advantage that this color wheel has over the other color wheel is that this color wheel is used in print and in digital. But the mix between any of the three primary colors lets you make like the red area, orange, red, orange, and yellow, orange, reds, that you can mix from the yellow and the magenta. So you can make a red. You can make several reds from that mix. The blue area, you can make those blues from that magenta and that purple. Varying shades of those colors you can make. So as you can see, this color wheel is a little bigger, and it's because you have more options you can make if you use those three as your primaries. Either color wheel is acceptable and either color wheel is useful. Again, this color wheel is more useful to somebody who has a deeper understanding of colors and prefers to mix their colors instead of use colors right out the tube. And this is also useful for someone who does work primarily digitally. Dope. Drop some fire emojis if you're messing with that. All right, so yeah, you can't find the fire. Just type fire for me. That's good enough, bro. I appreciate you. Just type fire. Yell it loud enough for me to hear you. All right. So here, this is a color intensity scale. A color intensity scale is going to be very important because with the color intensity scale, you can pretty much use any of these to figure out where your color sits on like your paintings. You can see whether the color is too bright or whether it is too dull, and you can do so by comparing the color next to another color. And on here you can see varying shades of each color. So at the top is the grayscale, starting with white and going all the way to black, and every color after is the brightest or the purest version, going all the way back towards the darkest version, which is, depending on how you look at the screen, it's either all the way black or it's black with a tint. So with the intensity is important because this is the brightness or the radiance of each color. Color straight out the tube, so like as soon as you buy it, or color like right out of a pencil, is the brightest form of that color. So in order to like lower your intensity, you're going to have to alter that color, which is by using a tint, tone, or a shade, and I'll get into that a little later. So Color intensity also changes the moods of your colors. It can bring them down or it can bring them up so that your painting has your painting has more variance, and certain colors don't overtake the painting. It doesn't make the painting like offensive to the eyes. So we're gonna go to the next picture. That ain't it. Never mind. I was right. Alright, so this is an example of changing color intensity. Let me enlarge this. See how big I can get it. Alright, this is an example of changing color intensity. So, in your paintings, you're pretty much going to have to modify your colors. But what you want to do is you don't want to change the value of your colors. And there's pretty much 3 easy ways to go about that. So 3 steps, and it'll help you to change the intensity but not alter the value. The first thing you want to do is you want to find the complement to that color. So in this example, the complements are the pure blue and the pure orange and the pure red and the pure green. Those are color complements. They're color complements because they're the exact opposite on the color wheel. The second thing you want to do is you want to match the value. So basically, that looks like on a value scale. Let me pull up a value scale real quick, and I'll come back to this picture. So this coming up is a value scale. Notice that there's several different versions of gray, black, dark gray, grays in the middle. There's like even like a all whitish color here. So this is a value scale. Now, if I put both of those pictures side by side, that, and then going back here, this right here is called a gray value scale, and I would recommend you have one of these when you take your colors and you try to mix them and you try to come up with values. Why? Is because this. So this is in gray. And here is the same value scale, but in color. That's the same value scale, but it's in color. So if you can take your pictures, and you can do this on a computer screen, especially if you work in digital work, is if you make something and you're not sure if these colors have the same value, turn them all the way gray. Turn the picture grayscale, and if the colors blend together, then they're the same. If you can't tell the difference between the two, then they're the same value. And that's what you want when you're trying to change color intensity. So back to the original picture. Let me increase the size again. So back to this. The pure blue and the pure orange, the pure green and the pure red are the same intensity, right? That's our starting point. So what we need to do is we need to darken or lighten those complements to make sure that the value is increased. Excuse me. And then what you're going to do, just like this picture is showing. So in this picture, they chose burnt sienna, which is a common color for changing value. They added burnt sienna to that orange, so it goes from the orange to the burnt sienna. Those two are mixed, and then you take that burnt sienna and you mix it into the blue, and it makes that dark blue. So that changes the intensity of that blue, which is called muting. So that blue gets darker, but it does not change the value. So if you take those two blues at the top and you grayscale them, they're going to be the same color gray, which means that that the mixing was successful. On the red side, the green is mixed with burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a common color for changing intensities in colors. You mix that green with that burnt sienna, it turns it a darker green, but it's the same value. And then you mix it in the red, and it lowers, it darkens that red. But those two reds, if you grayscale the picture, will be the same gray. So therefore, that was a success. Those top four colors, that blue and that red, those top four colors, those would be the same gray, which means that they didn't lose their value, which means that when you paint those, they will look nice. They will appear the way you want them to appear. So I'm going to go to another one, and the next one will show a similar situation, but there's a different way to go about it. So burnt sienna is not the end all be all, and burnt sienna does not work for every color when it comes to altering values. Okay. So here, this is what I mean. Let me get in nice and close. Okay, so here we have yellow and violet. Yellow and violet are very different when it comes to changing the values of yellow and violet. Yellow and violet don't really work well with burnt sienna. So yellow and violet don't really work well with burnt sienna, basically because yellows already various types of yellow. So pure yellow is just pure yellow, but darkening a yellow, so like your colors like yellow ochre, yellows that look kind of orange and things like that, they already have brown in them. A lot of them have brown in them, like yellow ochre or something that looks kind of like a gold. That already has brown in it. So you don't want to use burnt sienna because it's going to turn the yellow more of a reddish color. Even when it's mixed into purple, it's gonna turn it more of a reddish color. And that definitely happens if you use the wrong violet, which is like red violet. You don't want to use that. Burnt sienna already has red in it. Keep in mind that brown is just dark orange. If you didn't know that, drop me some fire emojis. Drop me some shocked emojis. If you didn't know that, brown is dark orange. So if you think about what makes orange, orange is yellow and red. So with orange being yellow and red, it already has yellow in it, right? And it already has red in it. So if dark orange is yellow and red plus black or blue, usually a dark blue, if it already has those colors in it, you don't want to mix that into those colors. You don't want to throw that into your purple either. Purple already has red in it. Purple's already got that red in there. So you don't want to throw that burnt sienna into your purple. It's just going to turn it like a weird red color. Okay, so at the top, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. And then towards the bottom in that corner is where the yellow and that ugly purple is. That's what I'm talking about. So when you want to mute yellow, which is what we're doing, lowering the intensity, when you want to mute yellow, you want to make sure that you're using a violet that is closer to blue. So you want to use a pure violet, or you want to use something that is violet blue. It has a blue tone to it. Okay? So the reason we do that, again, is because the violets closer to the red will only intensify if you put burnt sienna in them. So we don't want to go that route. Again, we want to use a violet blue or a pure violet. So what you can do if you don't have, just to make sure, if you don't have a violet blue or something like that, if you have the color ultramarine, or if you're not using like professional paints, you're just getting into it, you can't really spend the money on those professional paints, use the darkest blue you have, a blue that looks like it's going towards black, like navy blue. You put a splash of navy blue into that red violet color so that it'll cancel out some of that red. And you can use a splash. You're going to use when you mix these colors, you use very little of the opposite color. So you'll mix that, and then you'll go into the yellow, and that'll darken that yellow. That's pretty much the easiest way to do that. The other thing is if you're gonna go into like a light violet, so a light violet is like lilac. If you're using colors that don't use the original names, lilac or light purple, it might just say light purple. When you do that, you can mute that with a plain yellow, a light purple, like this purple at the top where the arrow is pointing. You can mute this with like a yellow like that or a yellow like that. You can mute that, so it'll turn it like a darker purple, something like this. Or you can mute this with this. You can go that way too. But that does not apply when it comes to a violet. So like this, right? I'm slipping. This right here is like a pure violet. This, do not mix with yellow because you get this. Ugly purple. This is not going to look good next to any color, around any color, nothing. This is ugly. It's muddy. Like you can see like all different types of colors in there. Like you see different purples and stuff. It's not good. That's not a good one. So from this purple, you're going to use grays. And as you can see, these purples keep the same power. You see, it's like powerful. It's bright still. It's a darker purple, but it's powerful. Just as powerful as this one. Again, if you grade these two out, they'll look like the same grade, which means a success. So use grays for that. I'm going to talk about the grays in a little bit because I prefer that you guys learn to mix your grays. Perfectly fine if you use gray out the tube, but mixing your grays makes your paintings look more natural, and I'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to go over some of my notes here because I put in some little tidbits and stuff like that. So again, like I said before, burnt sienna is like the common choice for muting your colors, but it does not work for yellow or violet. That's not a good look. Don't try it. It's gonna upset you. So when you're muting or you're changing these colors, there's a few tips you can keep. So if you want to keep a tinted color fresh, so a tinted color is a color that you have added white to. Any color you have added white to. If you wanna keep that fresh, you want to add a drop of the color above it on the color wheel. And I'm gonna jump back to the color wheel to explain these tips. We're gonna use the old color wheel, the more common color wheel for this. So let's say I wanted to make like pink, right? I need to make some pink. So that's red and white, obviously. To keep this pink from being dull and like dry, it doesn't have like as much power, I'm gonna put a little of this violet red in there. Very little, like a dot. So that'll keep that pink really powerful. And that would apply pretty much all across this board up until we get to like dark colors. A little different for dark colors. So, and by what I mean by darks is I mean shades. So a shade is any color that has dark gray or has black in it. So when you mix black into, let's say, purple, or on here, this one is blue purple. If you mix a black into that, you want to make sure that you add a color below. You want to go below. When you add black, go below. When you add white, you go above. So if I want to put some black into this, then I'm going to add a drop of this blue to keep this color popping. It's going to be dark, but it's going to be popping. It won't be dull. Now, how I suggest that you go about doing this is I suggest that when you use, for instance, like blacks, make your blacks. Are you shocked? Drop me a fire emoji if you never heard somebody tell you to make black. Make your blacks. Definitely make your blacks. So, to make a black is way more simple than you thought it was. So, to make a black, there's two different kinds of blacks we can go with. There's a warm black and there's a cool black. And we'll get into warm and cool in a second. Remind me. So a warm black is going to be best in a picture or in an area of a picture, your artwork, that needs a black, but it needs it to be warmer. So the colors surrounding that black will be warm, and vice versa for the cool black. So to make a warm black, you're going to mix dark red and dark green. So the darkest red you can get, which is probably going to be like something like burgundy or, something like that. And something like forest green, phthalo green. You're going to use really, really dark colors to make those. And you'll get a black. For the cool black, you want to use dark blue and burnt sienna. Dark blue and burnt sienna, so like a navy blue, ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna. It's going to get you the coolest black you can get. These blacks are different from the blacks you buy in the store. Why? Because those blacks are made through a process. But those blacks are very unnatural. If you have ever painted something and you notice that your black was way more intense than any of the other colors you used, especially if you mix a lot of colors when you paint, that's why. It's because when you were mixing colors, you created natural colors. but you did not have a natural black. If you don't mix your paints and you use your paints out the bottle, then you using black, it won't matter. However, if you blend your colors together, so if you blend your those colors out the bottle, like when you're making something and you're making a shade and like you got something fading into a black, that gray in the middle is not really natural. So that might look strange to you, like when you're mixing your blends from like from like straight out the bottle colors. So my advice is to practice and practice and practice making black so that you can have more natural blacks and more natural pictures. Again, you make your blacks, you make warm black from red, dark red, very dark red, the darkest red you can get, and the darkest green you can get. You make your cool blacks from the darkest blue you can get, and burnt sienna, burnt umber. So basically the darkest orange, which is brown. So the darkest browns you can get. The darkest blue and the darkest brown make a cool black. Let me just check my notes, see if I'm missing anything. Guess not. Okay. So, what's next? Okay, so here we're talking about neutrals. Neutrals, and sometimes neutrals are considered earth tones, are considered neutrals at times. So thank you, Alanosis. I'm trying to deliver that hot fire. Neutrals and earth tones are basically when you mix a warm color with a cool color, you'll get a neutral or an earth tone. So that's like mixing like a blue and mixing red, but mixing certain blues and certain reds will get you your earth tones and your neutrals. And here again is some neutrals and some earth tones. Now these are pretty much in the middle when it comes to your intensity. You can also dole these out if you want to. These are usually doled out using gray, if the color already isn't gray, or using the colors on the color wheel. But you would have to practice and pay well attention to what you mixed to get these colors. Like this pinkish color here, you're gonna have to like mute this down. If this is not muted enough, it's pretty muted if you ask me. If it's not muted enough, this is muted with like a green that has like a lot of white in it, or a lot of gray, a green that has a lot of gray. So like this and this can mute each other, this and this, but they're pretty muted enough. I wouldn't recommend muting them unless you have something I've never seen before. If you come up with a way to do it, let me know. I would surely like to see it. I like surprises. So we already talked about color value. We already talked about muting colors. Here you go. I did have it. Always come through. Oh, okay. I guess my computer don't respect me. I'm sorry that that's small. But those are warm and cool colors there. Let's get into this beast right here. which is atmospheric perspective. Again, atmospheric perspective. If you never heard of atmospheric perspective, let me see the surprise face. So with this atmospheric perspective, it pretty much has to do with the fact that colors change with the environment, and they also get lighter and they get cooler with relation to their background as further they go back. So like you can see up front, these mountains are like pretty dark blue. They're pretty, sorry y'all, I just bumped the camera. They're pretty dark blue for the most part up front, but halfway through that picture, there's a whole lot of light blues, and all the way in the back is pretty much just all light blue. No dark blue, no middle blue, none of that. So that is atmospheric perspective. And pretty much why it's like this is because the old masters in painting figured out that the earth had water molecules in the air. So when they would view their subjects, landscape painters would view their subjects from far away, they would see more blue the further away. Or they would see the coolest color possible in the environment they were in. So it could be a green if the work is in the background of like a green body of water or a green forest, then the background will be cool green, and the further it goes back, the green gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and that implies distance. This next picture shows more of a variation of atmospheric perspective. All right, so here you can really see atmospheric perspective at play. The sky in this picture was a bluish sky. Whenever the painter was painting this, the sky was blue, but as you can see, the intensity is low. It's lower because it's further away. The intensity is lower, and that's where atmospheric perspective comes in play. So those mountains, obviously, on this picture are flat. This picture is all one thing. It's not 3D, but your eyes believe that those mountains in the back are far away, and even that brown mountain, the one that's like really, really brown, that one is probably a part of that same mountain range where the orange and the reddish mountains are. But because it's so far in the background, they painted it cool browns, not warm browns, because they want your eyes to say, okay, that mountain is off in the distance. And then the mountains that are so far away that, you know, they're probably not even a part of that mountain range are blue, because the eye perceives that those mountains are being affected by the sky from the distance. Now you can take like some binoculars and try this, and you'll see that same thing. Precious Practice, how you doing? So you'll see that same thing through binoculars. Like if you look at something, if you have a lakefront nearby where you live or something like that, or even like a long road where you can see really far down, like miles down. Stand in one place, use some binoculars, and you'll see eventually everything really far away will turn very similar colors, and it's usually in one color family. In this case, it's blue. The next subject in color theory is local color. If you never heard of local color, let me see some fire emojis. Local color is a big deal. So local color basically talks about colors that you can see with your eyes. Local colors, like for instance, they have like those swatches in the corner over there. Those are colors that obviously they pull through a computer, but those are the tints, tones, and shades from that tomato. But how many of those colors can you see right now? So the difference between your eyes and that computer are the amount of those swatches you can see versus the amount of those swatches that the computer came up with. So local color is all about colors that you can see. And as an artist, we all will see different colors. If we all had the same skill level and the same understanding of colors, we would all come up with different colors even still, because our perception is so much more different. None of us see things the same, and that is determined at birth. We have a different amount of cones and rods in our eyes, and that determines how we see colors. And color is also, believe it or not, a personal experience. Drop a bomb emoji. Boom. Color is a personal experience. You cannot experience colors the same way your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your coworkers, yada, yada. You cannot experience colors the same way. Boom. So with local color, it's very important that you take the time and work on your color intensity, because that is going to help you in creating your viewer's perception. So local color also helps us come up with how we interpret things. So a good example of that is go talk to someone you know who is not an artist. Thank you, Shay Shanette. I'm trying, talk to somebody who's not an artist and ask them to ask you, like, show you something, and ask them to like name the colors, or ask them to draw and paint something for you. If you can get them to do it, what you will see is that they probably would not have chosen the colors you chose, because the colors that they perceive on a daily basis are written into their memory. So those local colors are written into their memory, and they will create something from their perception of something. So a lot of times this will come out as like, if you tell somebody to paint like this tomato or a strawberry for that matter, they're probably going to use the brightest red they can find, because in their mind, strawberries are red. Well, a strawberry is more than red, and especially to like animals who have special eyes where they can see more colors than we can only see the colors that the environment around us does not absorb. We see the colors that they bounce back, the colors they reflect. So this is more than just red to something that has eyes that are times better than a human's eyes. So local color is very perceptive. And somebody you talk to will probably make this tomato or a strawberry, and it's going to be super red. They won't put any of that burgundy-ish color, maroon color in there. They won't put, as you can see, like in the middle, there's like a stripe of like a super bright red. And then at the top, there's like a red that's going more towards dark red. They won't put that in there, because their perception is different than yours. And as an artist, you have trained your eyes to see more colors and more local color. This is my favorite part here. Now this is where I get some preaching going. Drop some praying hands for me. You in the Church of Color and Harmony. All praises due to Bob Ross. Yeah, Bob Ross is the paint guy. Y'all better act like y'all know them happy trees. I can't stand him in them happy trees. I was never able to paint anything he made. I loved him and I hated him at the same time. All right. So, color harmony. My favorite thing about colors, period. Electra, tell me if I'm lying, though. Tell me if I'm lying. Color harmony begins with seeing color relationships in colors with each other. So each color has a relationship to a color next to it, far away from it. All of them. Every color has a relationship with every color. I'm so hyped right now. Color harmony is crucial to having a piece of art that is dope and that it is eye-catching. So color harmony, whether you really understand this or not, has been the failure and success of a majority of your paintings. So everything I talked about earlier leads to color harmony. Mastering color harmony, after you got the basics down, is going to separate you from the crowd. I promise. I'm sorry, I need to go back to this to explain something. So, here, in this picture, like you can see those arrows and you can see those lines. Those arrows and those lines are just a geometric shape showing you how you can look on a color wheel and you can map out a color harmony basically through a geometric shape. I'm going to show you very common color harmonies and very easy to use color harmonies. You can build on these as you go, but I do recommend that you play with them before you commit to a color harmony. So basically with your color harmonies, as you can see in this picture, there's not just one color. There are the various tints, tones, and shades of those colors. Different purples, different yellows, different blues, reds, yada, yada, yada. So what that means is that you can easily take any color out of that section and take a brighter color or a darker color or a color in the middle and create a harmony. It doesn't have to be the top color, the bottom color. You can mix them up so as long as you stay within the harmony. This here is a monochromatic harmony. Monochromatic harmonies. Let me step back. Monochromatic means that it's one color. Monochromatic also applies to gray and black. It's not just colors. Monochromatic means one hue or color, and it comprises every color within that family. So monochromatic is all green, all yellow green, all blue green, all blue, all violet, all red, all orange, whatever you could think of. If it's in that color family and it goes from the lightest version of that color to the darkest version of that color, and you use only those colors, then that's monochromatic. And this is an example of different versions of monochromatic. This is called a dyad. Dyad, which basically means a 2-color pair. Your dyads are going to be separated by 1 color on a color wheel. So as you can see with, like, let's look at that top. So that's yellow and green. The color in between them is yellow green. So if you use a dyad color scheme, a dyad color harmony, any of those yellows and any of those greens will create a dyad color scheme. And the same thing, so on and so forth. The blue, green, the red and violet, you just have to, you're going to skip the color in between them to come up with this type of color scheme. Color schemes like this are used in like logos and on like a lot of websites. This is a complementary complementary harmony. So it's a long word. Complementary harmonies are basically using the opposite versions of each color. So the opposite of orange is blue. The opposite of yellow is purple. The opposite of red is green. The opposite of yellow orange is violet blue. The opposite of red orange is blue green, and the opposite of red violet is yellow green. So you can use these to in any form of those colors, as long as you stay in those pairs. Again, so you pick one color and then you pick the opposite. And you can do that with any colors on the color wheel. These are just the examples. So you pick one color on one side and you can use all of those colors, and then you pick the color directly on the opposite side and you can use any of those colors. And that's a complementary harmony. This is a 3-color harmony, and this one is called a split complementary harmony. So what you're going to do with this one is you're going to take one color family, and then you're going to take 2 colors on the opposite side of its direct complement. So with that yellow at the top, the top left, with that yellow, instead of choosing violet, you would choose red violet and blue violet on the opposite sides of the violet, the 2 opposite sides of the violet, to make your split complementary 3-color harmony. And you can do that with any color. So again, you just pick one color and then you find the direct opposite color on the color wheel. You skip that color and choose the colors on the left and right of it. It helps you make more dynamic and more interesting pictures by going that way. It basically allows you to it allows you to change up the hues and the values without having to alter the colors. So here we have another 3-color harmony, and this is just a triad harmony. So in a triad harmony, the way you pick the triad harmonies, you pick a color that is equally spaced between each other. So Triad Harmony, yellow, blue, red. Hold on, did I get a question? I'm sorry. Did I skip somebody? I'm sorry.